uh, ask a couple questions here. We are going to do phone calls. That'll give us the opportunity to do that. So stay tuned. Um, Dennis, we will take your calls on Skype, and I'll give that number here in a little bit. Mike and Jamie, what I'm thinking what we'll do is at the top of the hour, we'll take another quick break, another quick music break here, so we can just kind of regroup and get water and do what we need to do, and we'll be back. And again in about 4 minutes' time to continue on with the show. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
All right.
That's good.
All right, so let's go back to your spiritual journey, and this is fascinating to me, and I love this subject matter because I was in the military as well.
Oh,
and
nice.
We were probably in about the same time. I was in Alameda, California from 89 to 93.
Oh, I trained out in Alameda before. I was in the Marine Corps at 96 to 2000.
Okay.
First Marines, infantry. I scored real high, could have done a lot more, but I was born on the Marine Corps' birthday, and it was meant to be, and that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
So,
Right.
It was that type of deal.
Yeah,
and,
I was 88 to 93. But that being said, I understand what, in some sense, of course, everybody's experiences are different, but in some sense, what it means to be that young and to be kind of searching what your path is going to be. So let's start at that point.
Okay.
So we don't have to do the condensed version, and because you touched on so many things that
I know it's because it's such a large topic to reach all the way back.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always had all religious denominations really try hard, if you will, to recruit me. I mean, my first time that I was baptized was before combat in the Marine Corps. I've been baptized like 3 or 4 times since then. My first wife was Mormon, and during the Marine Corps, I would say I was probably, I identified with Baptist, being Southern Baptist, coming from Bay Area, Oakland, California. It was all my friends, African American, Black for a better word. So I identified with it. I understood it. I felt the spirit in it, and saw a lot in the Marines, and it changed the way that I felt. I learned a lot more about life through death with the Marine Corps. Let's put it that way. But it really, being highly empathic, it took its toll on my spirit. And it was, coming out, having PTSD back then, they didn't know what it was. There was no label, which I hate labels because they're constructs. But for lack of better words, that's what it is, post-traumatic. So, coming out of the Marine Corps, didn't know how to deal with it. I boxed when I was in the Marines, fought a lot, and I turned to music, became a rave DJ. No one could understand why I did that, and ecstasy was a big thing there. And I think it was because it was the only thing where I could be around people where it heightened everybody's sense of empathy. Mm-hmm. That's why they use it in Germany and Switzerland for marriage counseling. So it was a safe place for me because my heightened state, everyone else was as well. I would DJ, and I would make people cry when I DJ, and I would do trance music, and the level of where it put me really made me realize that there was more to spiritualism than just religion. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I walked away from it all for a while. So, to take a step back, and then, and that's when I just began studying. I've read the Bible back and forth. I've read the non-canonical books of the Book of Enoch. I've read the Torah. I've read the Quran. I've read the Satanic Bible. I've read A Course in Miracles, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Te Ching, the Nag Hammadi Codex, Law of One, Enki and Enlil, and the Anunnaki. So, it goes on. I've read them and studied them all, and I continue to do so to the point where it was just done for me because it's not in a book. It's inside of us. So, and that search was going on. I think we see a lot of people, they're searching, they're reading, and there are words that are alive in the Bible and are truth, but there are lies too. Right. And even in the lie, there is truth. So people need to understand anything that man touches, man will corrupt. The only thing that is pure is the spirit. So we have lost and forgotten who we are. And during these times, we are remembering only thing that is pure is the creator and the spirit. That's what we need to look at. So your eyes will change and you'll see different things. Even when you read the Bible or any other religious text or spiritual text, if your spirit is open, then it is actually revealing to you truths in a different way. It's kind of looking between the lines. So
I think that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with any religious text, whether it be the Bible, the Torah, or any of the others that you mentioned, is the dogma that's involved in it and the struggle to know that this was really written by men and they were, possibly rules that were laid down for the times and, obviously necessarily don't apply, as
yeah,
many of those things, for example, in the Old Testament, do not apply because
exactly.
we don't burn our brother because he chooses to work on the Sabbath or whatever the Leviticus passages are. So you mentioned something there, and I caught on to it. You said that you read all those texts, and I get the feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, I got the feeling that you read those texts kind of searching for what your spiritual path was going to be. You were looking for, is it fair to say validation, or am I completely off track there?
No, you're not off track. I think for me, I was searching for truth. And when I went through all that, it kind of led me into the truth community to where I started opening up, to seeing what's going on with the elite. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. And I've learned, and I tell people that everything's always going to be going on, but you can't get consumed by it. The Illuminati, if you will. Some people scoff at that, but all into the history of the Templars and everything that's happened. And when I was young, I used to get visions and of things, and then I researched later, and I would validate it. And really just searching for truth. I mean, it's hard because some people, and especially, I hate to say this or call people out, but it's the truth, is even with Christians, they don't understand some of the doctrine. And you have both sides. We all are one. I mean, Christianity didn't start off being called a Christian. It was called the Way. And what was taught by Christ was different than what we're seeing. Constantine couldn't burn Christians forever and still be a good guy. So he combined paganism with Christianity and wrapped it up as Roman Catholicism for the masses. So what even we have now, it isn't even pure in the first place. Mm-hmm. So it's a long road, and I sought the truth, because you can believe in something, but if that belief was created and changed from the original origin, then what you're believing in isn't real, or it has been tampered with. A lot of people think that they're worshiping the God, the one and true living God, when they're in fact worshiping the enemy or Azazel or devil or Lucifer, whatever label you want to put on it. So there's been a lot of twists on a lot of things. So you got to do the search for the truth. And I think for me, searching through all the texts was that. To this last couple months, it's to the point where I feel like the Creator is downloading knowledge into me that's being validated all around me all the time. So do I think you need to go through and research that? Absolutely, it helps. Do I think that you have to? No, I think that anything is possible.
So first of all, I don't want to forget my co-host. Jamie, are you still with us? And if so, do you have anything to add or ask Mike as we get into...
Oh, no, I know I'm still here. It's just fascinating listening to him speak.
Yeah.
I've talked about all of this with him.
Yeah.
So it just gives me great pleasure to hear him talk to you directly and everybody else who can finally listen to him talk about his journey, because it's fantastic and it's awesome. And I just love listening to it over and over again. So we'll have more questions, and when we get to the point in the show where we talk about how we met.
Right. And so let's get to that here after the top of the hour. I think that's a good way to talk about how you guys met. But as we wrap up the last 5 minutes in this first segment, Mike, I have a question for you. So, and forgive me for simplifying this, but so you were at the point in your life where you were doing the music and I find music to be very. I love music. I do, and we talked about it pre-show. I do 3 shows a week that are
Yeah.
music related here, and then you were at a point. There must have been a point where you kind of turned a corner or went through a door or something had happened where it awakened or began. I don't think it happened overnight. I don't think it happened with one instance. It was
No.
probably over time. Can you talk about when that began?
Yeah, when you go through relationship breakups or losing things, that really makes you take a step back. After my first wife, make a long story short, I got left in a city and homeless. I mean, I got the rug pulled out from underneath me during a business trip. Had to pull myself up out of that, lost everything, and ended up changing my whole life, and started tattooing, got tattooed, and it was a lot of therapy for me. Once again, like music, it's these things that are therapeutic, and which just gives you ability to reflect, which is why I tattoo now, to help heal as well. But to kind of retract from that and stick with this, I ended up getting married again. I had a son, so I was, becoming sober and realizing not being so selfish and kind of everything else taking a back seat. When you have a child, everything changes. So that happened, and then went through another, to kind of speed it up, I went through another divorce, unfortunately, where I've always been a very loyal person to the point of almost a fault. And I'm not saying I'm not to blame. We're all to blame for whatever, take accountability, but it was kind of a hijacking from behind.
Right.
And so you reflect and you take another look. And coming out to Arizona this past 3 years, I left Reno, which is, sorry if anybody's out there in Reno, but it's like Vegas. It's kind of a negative place. They have negative connotation. Let's put it that way. A lot of negative energy out there in some places for people. So it was a blessing for me to leave that place. And since I came here, I felt like my spirit hasn't been as restricted. Arizona's got a feel to it that if you're spiritual, you have to come out here to feel it. The sunsets, the sunrises, it's the sun people. You're attached to the earth a little more. And since I've been out here, I've just been healing. That's really the best thing I could say. I'm healing, and I've gotten back to who I was. And as we are in this time, it just happens to be that, the vibration of Schumann resonance is a frequency the earth vibrates at. And then they've been measuring it since 1952. And it's jumped from 7.83 to off the charts for the first time in this last year. And then in the past 4 or 5 months, it's jumping to where it's off the charts. And I feel it when it happens. So I've accelerated in my abilities, and where I'm at have literally accelerated as that's happening this past 6 months. And there's days where I know that it's off the charts because it's just, you have these moments where, everything is at peace. I am at one. Every person coming to me is confessing to me, and I'm healing them. And it's not out of ego, because I'm literally letting it happen and not worried about anything. So it's accelerated to that point. And now there's lulls in energy, but I can feel it. I think us being in a procession, the earth's wobbling, there's a lot of different things that are going on. We're even viewing the moon at different angles now because the earth's wobbling in a procession as the frequency and the vibration's been raised. So we're no different than animals that feel the change in the earth as well. I've just tapped into that, and I know we all can. And I've realized this last couple of months, as I've accelerated with that vibration, that it's my calling to help others raise their vibration as well, because they will not shift into the new earth, or heaven, if you will, is new earth, a new reality. We're leaving the third density, the 3D, and moving to a higher 5 dimension, if you will. So
yeah. Let's do this. We're right at the top of that. That's a great place to stop, because what we're going to go to next is kind of your time in Arizona, your growth in your spiritual life, and how you met Jamie. I really want to hear that story. And then we'll take calls. And so I'm anticipating a stop time of 9:30, which is Pacific time here.
Perfect.
So in about a half hour from now. So let us take a break. We'll be right back, everybody, with Cygnus Expo and Paranormal Radio. This is a very special show with Mike Seniff.